All right, y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so if you guys have watched the channel for a while, if you've been around, you've probably seen a lot of my gun content, maybe some of my gear content, like gear reviews and whatnot. And even when I'm doing reaction videos, I'll comment on stuff all the time, especially gear. So there's a lot of things that I'm passionate about. You guys might have been able to sort of extrapolate that through some of the videos. And night vision is definitely one of those things. Now, while it has its obvious advantages, there's like the shadow side of using it. There's definitely some disadvantages that a lot of people wouldn't really consider. So I want to do this video sort of explaining my experiences using night vision, what I think about it, and how a lot of people might sort of take it a little bit too far and get it twisted. Because night vision, it's an awesome thing. However, it is an awesome responsibility because you can get pretty carried away thinking you're a lot safer than you are using something like night vision. So if you guys are sort of new to the channel, then I'll just sort of explain my background real quick. I started off in the Marine Corps Infantry as an 0311. And also while I did that, I was on the recapture tactics team, which is kind of like a close quarter battle team. So I managed to see like a few different sides as far as like the combat arms aspect of that, as far as normal infantry, conventional infantry tactics, as well as stuff like CQB and using night vision in that sort of regard. Now after that, I switched to the Army infantry. I did conventional infantry for a little bit more, and then I moved into the recon platoon. So I have some experience using night vision as far as CQB, normal infantry stuff, and then reconnaissance. And I mean, kind of just using it as a hobby, because it is really cool to just have access to night vision, sort of use it for other stuff. But I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So that's kind of where my background sits. Now what you see here is a PVS-14. So this is probably the most common piece of night vision that you'll see in the US arsenal. But I've used these. I've used the PVS-31s for a little bit, only maybe for like a few shooting drills. And I gotta say, that's kind of a night and day difference as opposed to one tube versus dual tube, because it really helps with the depth perception and overall situational awareness. Now on top of that, I've also used the PSQ-20, which I might have talked about in some other videos, but it's basically like a night vision thermal hybrid, and it's really cool. It's got like this pretty fancy outline feature. I'll throw the video that I always throw up right here. And then I've also seen the new ENVGs, and those are really fantastic. Now night vision is pretty common in the US military. Like even non-combat arms elements will have plenty of night vision, but I gotta say it's getting pretty fancy. So we definitely have to talk about that and sort of recognize the advancement of night vision and these sort of systems. So that's kind of where it stands as far as my experience with all these different types of night vision. Now I do have some pretty strong memories whenever I think of night vision, and if you guys have served in the military, if you've used night vision, you probably have some as well. But some of the things that I really remember are just using night vision to look up at the stars. Like after, if I'm in the field and we just did some training and then, it's been like a long day, it's nice to get the night vision and sort of look up at the stars, because you can see, obviously, you can see way more stars in the night sky using night vision. So those are some of my strongest memories. I've also had some pretty crappy memories with night vision. I mean, just stuff like sitting in a foxhole, I guess, a fighting hole, sitting in a fighting position with night vision at 2 in the morning after you'd just been woken up like 10 minutes ago. You sort of flip down your night vision, you're looking around, it's super hazy, everything just becomes a blur. And again, with these monotubes, the depth perception is kind of bad already. But when you've just woken up at 2 a.m. and you throw this night vision on, it's like you're just looking into this green void. You're not really like focusing on anything. You're trying to wake yourself up because obviously you're on guard duty or something. But yeah, I've had those experiences. A lot of times it's been raining on me when I've been woken up at like 2 a.m. So everybody in the US military has those sort of memories. And if it's around night vision, they have some pretty specific memories for that as well. Now, night vision is an awesome capability to have. I remember when I was in the School of Infantry, we were first starting to get our hands on night vision, because you don't really mess with night vision at all in boot camp. But when you're in the School of Infantry and you're learning how to use night vision and move around in night vision, I remember one of the instructors sort of did this like test, I guess, but basically we all had our night vision. They're like, all right, flip them down and turn them on. And then there was like an instructor like way out in the woods smoking a cigarette, and we weren't able to see it beforehand, obviously, because, the human eye isn't that sensitive to visible light. But when you flip down the night vision, we were all able to see this instructor like, I don't know, 100 meters away or something, smoking a cigarette. And it was very, very obvious. So that's kind of like a stark reality, or that kind of like woke me up, like, holy crap, like night vision is cool, but when you realize how much it picks up on like ambient light and stuff like that, it's pretty spooky to sort of see that, but also really, really cool and like a big eye opener. Now at the same time, with night vision, of course, there are going to be some disadvantages. While it is nice to be able to sort of pick up on this ambient light that you weren't able to see previously, it gives like a false sense of security. Like, yeah, if you're chilling out in the dark, if you don't have night vision, you'll sort of be aware of that. You sort of start to realize like, hey, I think I'm good because I'm concealed because it's dark out. However, if someone has night vision, I know they could probably see me. So you sort of get that realization, but at the same time, just because you have night vision doesn't mean you're seeing everything. And that's what a lot of people have trouble sort of thinking about. Because, there's a dude that's really disciplined and he's camouflaged really well and he's sort of just chilling out in the tree line. You still won't be able to see him with something like traditional night vision. So we'll talk about that a little bit further, especially with how it compares to things like thermal. But that's just something that I think about, and it's not really something that you would think about early on when you're pretty new to night vision. And before we delve into all that, little history for night vision. Now, night vision is not a new thing by any means. It's been used since World War II. Of course, it wasn't nearly as sophisticated as night vision that you would see nowadays. Not nearly as clear, a lot of like just pixelation and scintillation as it's called. But using a vehicle, it was an awesome tool. People were able to utilize that infrared light to make the distinction because, you're trying to use visible lights or maybe you're not really trying to use a white light like a normal flashlight. So you want to use this night vision because you're not trying to be detected. But now you can use this night vision and this infrared light to make the distinction between something that might be a threat versus something that might not be a threat. So for vehicles, especially like in World War II, when they were starting to utilize night vision for that, they were able to make the distinction like, okay, maybe that's a tank, maybe it's not a tank. So it kind of helped out in those regards. People were really able to see the advantages of night vision. And I mean, nowadays you kind of get desensitized to night vision because it's so small, it's so convenient, it's so clear, and it works really well. But back in the day, people were really pushing it to its limits to sort of get that positive identification and really use it like that. Now, something else that doesn't really help with the desensitization of night vision is how it's used in popular culture. Because I know people my age, we grew up watching movies, we played video games where it had night vision. Like Call of Duty is a pretty good example. It's nice to be able to just flip on this night vision because, it's not just like casting a huge light as opposed to using a flashlight and whatnot. It's pretty obvious where the light is coming from. But having this stuff in video games sort of adds like a different layer and adds some more depth because now you can start using night vision because you're not sort of giving away your signature and all of a sudden you're able to see in the dark. So it kind of adds to video games in that sense. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is pretty cool. But at the same time, it sort of gives like a false sense of security because if other people have night vision or something that's a little bit more effective, like thermal, for certain things, then it gets kind of dangerous. And that's kind of where we start moving to the shadow realm of night vision. So I have some clips here, so I'll sort of throw those up and use those as a reference point. But in regards to CQB, we'll talk about CQB, close quarter battle, which is basically room clearing. We'll talk about that first. So in regards to CQB, night vision is an awesome thing to have because, say you're not trying to go in super dynamic, trying to kick down doors, throwing in flashbangs and whatnot, you can use night vision for stealth, and it is an amazing tool. However, it does require a lot of training, and that's something that a lot of people don't actually do. So let's say with the conventional infantry, they're not so focused on, night vision and how it's used in every single facet of being in the infantry. Because you have, wide open fields. Sometimes you'll have compounds. Sometimes you have really tight close quarter stuff. Now, night vision can be good to sort of add that stealth. However, if you're not comfortable with using it, if you're not familiar with using it and sort of predicting what it would be like to sort of go against someone with night vision, then you can get pretty lazy in how you use it. So because night vision uses light, visible light and infrared light, that's something that a lot of people don't really think about. How does light actually play in with normal combat situations? So let's say if you've been in a shoot house or something like that, if you've, shot anything or if you've been in a building that had smoke in it, you can tell it's not really that easy to see. Even when you're driving on the road, if there's a lot of fog, obviously you're not going to turn on your high beams because it's just going to hit that fog and just cast it right back at you. So let's say all of a sudden you're really in the thick of it. You're inside of a compound, you're throwing frag grenades, you're throwing flashbangs, you're just, it gets smoky, whether there's a fire or you're just shooting guns. It's going to get pretty smoky in there. It's going to be pretty hard to see. So night vision's not really going to help you out so much. People will be trying to like push through the night vision because that's what they're trained to do. Like keep the night vision down because it can, give you some concealment. They won't really know where you're coming from. But in reality, if you flip up the night vision, all of a sudden you can see way better. I mean, sometimes you can start utilizing visible lights and it might be a little bit better than night vision, but even still, like sometimes your normal vision will be more beneficial to use than actual night vision. I'll say when I've been on some pretty crappy movements when you have night vision down, it really, really messes with your depth perception. So you're trying to like see where you're going. You're trying to look like 1 yard in front of you or 1 meter in front of you to try and see what you're about to step on. And you step and all of a sudden it's way deeper than you think and you like eat shit and it makes a lot of noise. However, if you flip the night vision up, all of a sudden you can see way clearer. So it messes with your depth perception. You get really comfortable with using it and you don't realize when you should stop using it. So that's something that I see a lot in infantry and combat arms in general, is people get too comfortable with night vision. So they won't really consider how it plays into parts and what it actually does as far as picking up light. Because if there's smoke, you're still not going to be able to see through it. You're going to need that thermal. And if you don't have that, then it might be a crutch if you just try and rely on the night vision. So you definitely need to train with night vision, understand its strengths and its weaknesses. Now, at the same time, as far as logistics, night vision can be a little bit of a nightmare. I mean, carrying batteries is not too bad, but I'll say when I had my PSQ-20s, the night vision thermal, hybrid, if you're using it on that hybrid mode, the batteries run out extremely quickly. You can sort of like have like battery packs, and it makes it a little bit easier to change the batteries out without moving a whole lot of stuff around. But it can be a pain in the butt as far as having all those batteries on standby. You need to use lithium batteries, especially because alkaline batteries are not going to be very effective when it comes to night vision, because they're going to get drained super quickly and your system isn't going to operate that well. So it's important to know what sort of batteries you should be using and just, be cognizant to actually have those batteries on standby. There's been a lot of times where we've pushed out and, all of a sudden I'm with another squad. They didn't do the right checks and whatnot. And all of a sudden their night vision starts turning off because it runs out of battery. And now they don't have any battery. All of a sudden they're out in the pitch black and they can't see anything. And yeah, they're basically a liability at that point. So you really need to consider the logistics when it comes to stuff like that. I'd say overall with night vision, you need the discipline to understand when you're going to be using it, how to use it and whatnot. Because again, if you're going to get someone that has night vision, it's not going to be that nice to have night vision. It's not going to help out that much. It might help you, so you're not casting a visible light on all these trees if you're trying to move through the woods. But if someone has night vision, they can still see you. You still need to have proper dispersion. You need to have proper camouflage. You need to break up your silhouettes. You still need to have the fundamentals, and you need to be disciplined to sort of use those fundamentals. So you're not getting comfortable thinking that you're concealed just because it's dark outside and you have night vision. It doesn't really work out like that. So it's getting kind of hard now, especially with people who have, grown up in a global war on terror, when they're training with night vision and they're going against, an adversary that doesn't really have a whole lot of night vision or any night vision at all. And now all of a sudden they're going against like a peer-to-peer threat that has night vision, that has the thermal capabilities. They're going to get, they're going to get blindsided almost. They're not going to realize like, okay, maybe I can't do this now. Maybe I do need to work on my camouflage because now they can see me when I'm moving through the woods in a formation and we have no dispersion and it's just like a row of people walking through the woods. So that's sort of the recon and the conventional infantry aspect of it. But even when you're in a shoot house, if you're moving through the shoot house and you leave your, your IR laser on and you're sort of casting it, I'll put a video up here, but if you're casting it all around as far as on the ceiling, on the floor, it lets the enemy know where you are, if they have night vision. So you need to be disciplined to be able to actuate that laser when you need to, actuate that flashlight when you need to, and not just get complacent thinking that you're invisible, again, just because you have night vision. Now, at the same time, if someone has a flashlight and you have night vision doesn't work that well against visible light. I will say that much. You feel cool when you're moving around, but let's say you're moving to a compound and you're moving through the woods all sneaky and you have your night vision and someone inside the compound, they have lights all over them and whatnot. So, you can see them pretty clearly, but all of a sudden they hear a noise because you aren't disciplined in how you're moving. Your depth perception was messed up and you just walked into a big branch or something. And all of a sudden they pan over with this big bright flashlight and all of a sudden you can't see anything because guess what? It's going to take all that light from that flashlight and amplify it. And now you're not going to be able to see anything because someone's shining a flashlight in your face. So you're going to be like this. You're probably going to flip your night vision up because there's no points because they see you already because they're, casting a flashlight on you. And your camouflage isn't good. You didn't care about any of that stuff. And they just see an obvious dude wearing, military kits, holding a black rifle or something. So they're going to be like, okay, hey, I see you. And you're probably not going to be effective because you just looked at a big bright flashlight through your night vision and now you can't see anything. So you're going to flip your night vision up and you're just going to be reacting at that point. So night vision is cool, but you need to realize if someone has flashlights, they could still mess you up really, really easily. Of course, they're sort of giving away their position, so someone that's not necessarily in that beam of light can see where that that light is coming from. So that's the disadvantage for them. However, if you're getting really comfortable thinking that you are invisible just because it's nighttime and you have night vision, if someone throws a big bright flashlight on you, it's gonna suck, and they're gonna be able to see you. Plain and simple. Now, my last bit on the shadow side of night vision. So night vision is awesome. However, if you're going to get someone that has night vision, or more specifically, if you're going to get someone that has thermal, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be pretty difficult to deal with that. Because I'll say, when I was on the recon platoon, we were in the box, which is basically like a month-long rotation in Fort Polk, Louisiana. We were going against the Op 4, the opposing force. We knew they had night vision, we knew they had thermal, and they had more thermal than we did. I think we had like one big PAS 13, this really big, really crappy thermal optic. It's nice to have, the thermal capability, but we knew they had better thermal than us and way more thermal than us. So we're trying to move through the woods. We're practicing all the right fundamentals. We have our camouflage. We're not silhouetting ourselves. There's no light behind us. We have dispersion. We're being really quiet. We're being disciplined as far as our noise and whatever discipline. So we're being disciplined. We have the fundamentals on lock. However, if they have a clear line of sight and you're casting a thermal signature, which, we were all live at the time. So if they have that clear line of sight and they can see that thermal signature, they're going to be able to see it with their thermal devices. And it sucks. It's really difficult to go against that because you need to take your fundamentals and really dig deep with them. You need to push out a little bit further. You need to be a little bit sneakier, disperse a little bit more, because, there's like some animals. So maybe if they see one heat signature, they'll sort of write it off as like, it's just an animal walking through the woods. But if they start seeing a line of, heat signatures, that's pretty much it. That's game over. And even so, they can just be like, hey, direct your night vision this way. I can see a formation of dudes coming. So it's nice to have night vision, but when you're going against thermal, you need to be extremely careful, which is why, again, you need to have those fundamentals on lock before you go out and think you're invincible with night vision. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. Again, I love night vision. It is an amazing tool. However, a lot of people can take it a little bit too far and get really comfortable using it. So it's awesome. And I mean, it's still really cool to see it in popular culture, especially with like the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare, how they have the white phosphor night vision, which is like a lot more clear. It's less like eye fatigue on you. It looks a lot more pleasant to look at. So it's kind of cool to see that. At the same time, you have things like, even Halo 3 ODST, where they have the visor mode, because you have night vision. I'll put up a video here where you have night vision where you can actually see the outline of all the people, all the equipment, all the terrain and whatnot, which is very similar to what you see in that Halo 3 ODST visor mode. So it is kind of cool. It really gets me excited to watch night vision in all this popular culture because it's a cool thing. And if you haven't been able to look through some night vision or anything similar to night vision like thermal, then I would just say it's not life-changing. I'll definitely say that. But it is really cool, especially like, my kids, they're young. They don't really understand. They don't really need to appreciate what night vision is, like being able to see infrared light. But being able to take this night vision and hand it to them, and then, they're looking around, they're looking up at the moon and the stars, and they're able to see all the stuff that they weren't able to see previously. You see this light?
Yeah.
Here, look through it.
Whoa.
Here, look through it. Can you see the trees clearly?
Yeah. It's like it's sunny.
Yeah. Let you see in the dark. It's cool, huh?
Yeah. Your face.
It's really, really cool to be able to share that with people. So I'm kind of privileged to be able to do that, but I gotta say, if you can try some night vision, then definitely do so, because it's really cool. But yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I can do a little bit more. I definitely want to do a CQB focused video on night vision and sort of how to use night vision and how to, I guess just general nighttime considerations when you're talking about CQB and room clearing, because there's definitely a lot of nighttime / low light considerations when it comes to that. So if y'all have any recommendations as far as like night vision related videos, you can throw it down below. Let me know what you think about this video. If there's anything that you want to add to what I said as far as the advantages, things that I'm missing out as far as like disadvantages, advantages of night vision, throw it down below, because I'd love to hear your experiences and what y'all think about night vision. Everyone that has been able to experience night vision. So thank you guys for watching. That is it for this video. I'll see y'all in the next one.